There are certain hard truths to recovery. One is you're going to have to learn how to disappoint people and deal with the emotions of disappointing, because most of us are people pleasers. Most of us had to self-abandon. Most of us had to show up in ways that weren't us. Another thing we're going to need to do is we're going to have to leave home emotionally. That means that you have to get that little child, that little emotional child inside of you, to grow up, to realize that you get to be who you are, who you want to be, live the life that you want, and nobody can tell you any differently. I got so much pushback on the episode about the mother wound, where I said that, you have to somehow reconcile this within yourself. And I think some people took it the wrong way, because I got a lot of messages like, my mother's a sociopath, she's a narcissist, she's a psycho, she's abusive, I'll never forgive her, I hate her, I would stab her if I had the chance. All of that hate and all of that anger is only hating you, hurting you. And the fact that you have all of this energy that is so focused towards one individual, that is just time, space, and energy that's taken away from you. I never said that you need to forgive anybody in this journey. All I can tell you is your hurt, your anger, your resentment hurts you, and you put way too much value in the people that raised you. The problem is, even as an adult, a grown man who has done a lot of work on himself, there's still a little child in me that wants my parents to be proud of me. I don't think that ever goes away for children. I think we're always going to look to them to some point, to some degree. They don't need to know it. But if you're getting up there in the years and you're still having this internal battle with yourself, there's things that you need to realize is that you are more important than them. We have to start to learn that. And we also have to start to understand that they need you more than you need them. You have been their supply. You have kept them regulated. You have shined so they had something to show off, because they're so filled with shame. That we have to learn how to leave home emotionally. You need to separate. This should have happened by the time you were 18, 19 years old. You should have been cast off on your own to figure your own way out. You check back in when you're struggling and you're not sure of things. If you need to call your mother 5 times a week at this point, there's an enmeshment problem there. There's an emotional incest issue happening. You have to get yourself to a point where their opinion of you no longer matters. Only your opinion of you needs to matter. And if you need to go find a surrogate family somewhere, somebody that's going to mirror you better, you have to start living your life your way and find the places that are important to you. I look at some of my people in my family, they don't have the strength, the courage, the tenacity, the discipline to do what I did. It is very safe. It's dysfunctional and toxic, but it's very safe to stay in your family system, because you know the rules. It's easy and convenient. You don't make any of your own decisions. You just follow the rules that are set out for you. On certain holidays, this is where we show up. These are the foods that we eat. This is the routine. This is the ritual. And you will follow it the way I had to follow it, and the way the generation before me followed it, and the generation before that. It's dysfunctional and toxic, because there's no spontaneity. There's no freedom. You don't get to be who you are. You have to follow these rules. And it's a very safe existence. There's an entire life waiting to be lived outside of your family system. But until you start separating and cutting that cord and learning how to say no and learning how not to show up when you don't want to, when you get rid of that obligation that you feel like you need to do this so nobody's upset with you, that nobody's angry with you, that you're still trying to please the people in your family, They need to be no more important than the guy delivering the mail emotionally. That's the place that you have to get to before you can return if you choose to leave the system and to grow up emotionally. We have to leave home emotionally. Another reality of recovery is anger. You have to get in touch with that anger. There's no way around it. Sooner or later, you're going to have to start feeling it, and you're going to have to start experiencing it. And I know how scared and terrified some of you are to get in touch with your anger because you weren't allowed to have it. So it was cut off at an early age, and you have no power, you have no protection, you have no boundaries because you have no anger. Because emotionally, you can't handle somebody looking at you negatively. You can't handle disappointing somebody and not having them happy with you. All of those feelings that you have when you disappoint somebody, when you don't show up in a way that people need, and you go into that shame and that self-hate, you're going to need to purposely put yourself into those feelings so you can start to separate. Slowly make those changes. If you're getting on the phone with your mother or your father 5 days a week, cut it down to 3 and feel how disgusting that feels in your body, how frightening that feels, how much shame that you feel that you're not showing up for them. And learn how to deal with those feelings. That's where all the work is. So you slowly cut back. You're slowly less available. And then you're in your head and you're worried about what are they thinking? Do they not like me? What's it going to be like when I show up? How are they going to guilt me and shame me? I can't handle those feelings. Those are the feelings you're going to have to learn how to handle. And if they're upset with you and they're angry and they're hurt and they're disappointed, that's their fucking problem. You've been living with that shit your whole life. It's now time to turn the tables. Like they are no special than anybody else walking the earth. I keep saying it. They're just douchebags like everybody else. They have good and they have bad, but they need you. You don't need them, but you haven't convinced yourself of that yet because you haven't weaned off the addiction you have to pleasing your family and showing up in the role in your system. So you're going to have to say no. You're going to have to disappoint. You're going to have to feel guilty, and you're going to have to feel the shame, and you're probably going to have to feel their anger and their disappointment. You're going to have to get in touch with your anger. And this is a lonely process. It's another fact about recovery. It's lonely, man. This is a lonely journey. It is hard to find people that are doing the work that I'm doing the way I'm doing it, and that is lonely. It's hard doing this podcast. It's pretty lonely doing this. I'm alone and isolated in here. I don't know how this shit lands out there. I have no idea. I have no idea how it's resonating. Because it's just me and a microphone. This work's lonely. It's hard. And it is slow. It is painful. But you got to make a choice at some point to see if you're going to lean into this or not. Because the half-ass way a lot of people are going about it, you're never going to get anywhere. You have to leave your family. Bottom line. You have to leave them emotionally. You have to stop showing up in the ways that you always have. And you have to slowly start doing it to see it. You see, it's like we're in this trance. We're in this sitcom. We're in this scripted life. You were handed a script. You're an actor playing a part, playing a role. And the script tells you what type of character you are. And what kind of feelings and emotions you're allowed to have and what kind of feelings and emotions you're not. And the only way to break this trance is to leave the system. You got to get the fuck out. You got to start living on your own. You got to rely on yourself. I said it before, I didn't know how to do it in my system because I couldn't handle the guilt and shame. I couldn't handle disappointing them. So I had to leave completely, no contact, 6 years. so I could figure out who I am without them. And part of it was a safety net, right? That I was raised to be, helpless, dependent, so that I never left them. I was never taught to be independent, live on my own, and figure out my own way and survive on my own. So in the back of my mind, I was like, all right, I have room to fuck up because I have a safety net. I can come crawling back to home like the hurt, scared, helpless, incompetent child that I really am. So let me go out in the world for a little, try something, and if I fail, at least I can crawl home and, live in mommy and daddy's basement for another fucking year and a half. Like not having the safety net and building yourself up and getting yourself whole and building a solid foundation of understanding who you are and what it took to get to this point. And once you start doing that and you start feeling good about yourself, you can go back to them if you want. Because I'm telling you that if your family went to therapy with you, if they're like mine, it's seriously not going to happen. Why would somebody change? So you have to think about it this way. If I'm a narcissistic asshole and I am using, controlling, and manipulating you to feel good about myself, if you are my supply and you keep coming back like a dog waiting for a treat, and I feel all powerful, all knowing, all secure, all safe, knowing you're never going to leave, why would I treat you any differently? Why would I treat you any better? If I'm that much of a narcissist, I probably don't even know that I'm not treating you well. Because all I'm doing is what was done to me, only I'm doing it a little bit better from where I came from. So if I don't know that I'm treating well, if I don't know that I'm upsetting you, or if I do and I'm just getting all of my needs met, why would I change? Now, if you start changing, and I've been dependent and needy on you, but I made it seem the other way, and then all of a sudden you're not needy and as dependent on me anymore, you don't think that's going to trigger my nervous system? You don't think that's going to send me questioning what happened? Where's the shift? Why am I not as important anymore? And then the person has a choice. They can up the ampage on the narcissism and shame and guilt more, or they're going to have to start changing how they relate to you. See, the important thing here is that they get their supply. And if you still need their validation and their approval, and you need them to see you in a certain light, you're a prisoner. You are a hostage. The only way to break free is to start changing how you're showing up. And it's not to show up more. You're never going to fill them. They have a hole in their soul that can't be filled by 10,000 children. You're never going to make it there. You're never going to get to the point where they're just like, where they're going to see it or they're going to get it. Because you're not holding a mirror up to them. You're giving them everything they need and they are not uncomfortable. They're not dealing with their abandonment. They're not dealing with their shame. Because you're feeding everything to keep them satisfied. So you have to start changing how you show up. And if you're showing up 100% or 500% or 1,000%, you got to knock that percentage down. And slowly wean off of giving them what they want. You're not happy because you don't get to live your life. You're not happy because you have to abandon yourself and show up for others. You're not happy because it was never modeled for you how to self-care and self-love and take care of the things that are important to you. You're not allowed to choose your career. You're not allowed to choose your friends. You're not allowed to choose your hair and your clothes and your house and your car. Because everything goes through the family system filter and it has to live up to the standard that they set. These are not your beliefs. These are beliefs that were handed to you when you were born. And you needed to fulfill these beliefs so that these people felt regulated and felt okay. So that you became what they needed you to become, so they didn't feel that shame. everything that you feel and all the hate and all the anger that you have, they have gone through it with their parents. You have the opportunity to stop the generational trauma. You have the opportunity to have an incredible, fulfilled life. It is all within you. But if you are spending all your time and all of your energy trying to get other people to like you so that you feel better about yourself, you will never feel good about you. Because it can't happen through others. It can only happen within. So put the fucking brakes on, stop what you're doing, and start taking some inventory in your life. Start to realize, get a piece of paper out and write all the things that you do in all the ways that you do them and how you show up for others in ways that you no longer want to. Put it on paper so it's in black and white so you can see it. And I'm not telling you to hate your family, and I'm not telling you to leave them completely. I mean, if you need to, go do it. You got my blessing. But emotionally, you need to leave them, and they need to learn how to fend for themselves because they are fucking children. They're adult, grown-up children. Emotionally, they are children. And when an emotional child raises another child, it just makes another emotional child. You're allowed to grow up. You're allowed to become more than them. You're allowed to become anything you want. Even if they never gave you the permission, you have to give yourself the permission. This is your life. You need to fight and scrape and work your ass to get to the place that you want to be. I feel really good every single day. I have worked my ass to get here, and I want to drag all of your asses along with me, but I can only do so much. I can only put the words out there. You have to start showing up and working at this. You have to look at your reality. We are in this like post-hypnotic trance from childhood that you think you can only live one way because that's all you were allowed. You are limiting your potential. You are limiting your happiness. You are limiting your love. You are limiting your joy. All for these assholes? Really? How long are you going to hold on to it? How long are you going to keep going to them to try to feel good about you? It's never going to work. Never going to work. You got to find it within you. You got to get in touch with your anger. You got to start taking responsibility for yourself. You have to start disciplining yourself. You have to stop weaning off of your family system. You have to stop weaning off of external validation. Put down the pills. Put down the weed. Put down the booze. Start eating right. Start exercising. Show up at support groups. Volunteer at soup kitchens. Get your hair done. Get your nails done. Go to the gym. Start investing in yourself, in your life. Sit down and write a 3-month, 6-month, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year plan. And then in 6 months, throw that one away and start over because I guarantee you some of it's going to change. The better you start feeling about yourself, the easier this life becomes. Because you're not worried about how it looks from the outside. You're not worrying about pleasing other people. You care about pleasing yourself and filling yourself up so that when you are there for you, you can then show up and be there for others. And then maybe the relationship between whoever it is that raised you that you are so hostile towards can change. Because when you get to that place of good feeling, where you are walking tall in your shoes and you are fucking proud of yourself, you can show up and take care of others if you want. You can show up with your family and not be triggered, and you can see their insanity and their little digs and their snide remarks and their shitty little fucking comments that trigger you and put you down. And you just laugh and go, yeah, that's right, I look like a slob today. What are you going to do? Like, instead of taking it so personally, you take it personally because you're waiting for their approval. Everything goes through the mother wound, is what I said. Doesn't mean you need to forgive them. You just need to get yourself to a place where their opinion of you no longer matters. And you need to do anything you can to get there. And the first thing is to slowly stop showing up as much as you once did. I didn't talk to my family for 6 years. I am slowly getting back with them. They still have stupid remarks here or there, even though they're walking on eggshells extremely around me because they don't want me to leave again. But they can't help themselves. They are programmed and conditioned, and they're living in a trance. But it doesn't matter what they say about me. It doesn't matter their comments and how shitty it is, even though they don't realize how shitty it is, or maybe they do. How they insult me or judge me, I don't care. Because I built my life my way, and it works for me. And I can guarantee you, none of them are as happy about who they are as I am. And I did it alone, broke, scared, and tired, and I'm still fucking doing it. And they're still living in their fake little safe, chaotic, toxic world. I mean, which would you rather be? Free or a hostage emotionally? Start investing in yourself. I mean, this is important, man. You know, if you're going to have kids, if you have kids, like, don't you want the best relationship you could possibly have with your children? Isn't it important for you to start working on yourself, to get yourself right so that you can have the best possible relationship with yourself and with your children and with your friends and your lovers? You're working from a place of deficiency, a place of lacking. You're not happy with your life. So if you're out there dating, chances are you're dating to improve your life through this person. And then when that person leaves, you're left in a world of shit again. Because you didn't improve your life. You just brought on a distraction for a little while. Because when you are that depleted as a human, it's not love, it's hostage taking. I need you to feel better about myself. So I'm going to do anything to keep you because I can't be abandoned again. I'm not being me. I'm just recreating my role of self-abandonment and showing up for you so that you feel good and there's no problems and emotionally you're regulated. I'm going to do everything possible to make that happen. And I'm going to completely shit on myself and abandon myself and let you walk over me. And I'm going to people please just to make you stay. So it never ends. You're using your relationships, you're using your job, you're using your kids, you're using your friends. If you are empty and depleted, you are using people to fill you up. And that never ends well. You have the ability to do it yourself. But you got to start doing the work. You got to get in there and make some changes. I don't care how small they are. Start by making your fucking bed every morning. And do that for a month. And then add something else on. Like invest in your life in some way, shape, or form. And it doesn't matter what it is as long as it's for you and there's no applause attached to it. So it's you and you alone. And you're the only one that sees the accomplishment and feels the accomplishment. You start stringing a couple of these things together. And you start to become competent within yourself, within your life. Before you know it, you're not going to want to stop. How far behind are you in life? How many things are you putting off out of fear? Or you can't process it because emotionally you're completely overwhelmed and I don't have enough space to clear out to organize my closet or go buy new clothes or take care of my income tax. Start clearing shit out. You know how good it feels when you're caught up with your life? When your apartment's clean, your clothes are washed, everything's put away, your refrigerator's full, you've gotten in exercise, you've done a day of work, you had a full day's sessions, you record an episode, you go out with your friends at night to listen to music, and then you're back at it tomorrow. Instead of sitting here in pain and in fear and procrastinating. But it has to start somewhere, and that somewhere is with you. So, sorry about the alert. Forgot to put on Do Not Disturb. It's my son hitting me up. Anyway, I'm going to probably have to edit that out. Good place to end. Got to get in touch with my kid, who I do have a great relationship with because of the work that I have done. And nothing is more important to me than relationship with my kids. And they might not want it the same way I want it, but I've learned how to show up for myself so that I can be a better father to them, whether they like it or not. All right, take care.